Hello everyone, welcome you all for the lecture session on the subject of Design of Machine Elements 1 having in subject code of 18ME52. In the previous class, we begin with the numerical problems with respect to the welded joints. In that particularly, we solved the problems with respect to the strength of the butt as well as the lap joint weld. We also understood the concepts with respect to the strength of a combined fillet where a combination of both the lap as well as a butt joint will be considered. So in today's session, let us begin with the numerical problem with respect to the special condition, that is a combined welded joint condition, as well as let us begin with the concepts with respect to the eccentric loading. So to begin with the problem, let us look into the problem statement. A plate of 80 millimeter wide and 15 millimeter thick is joined with another plate by a single transverse weld and a double parallel weld. Look, here it's a combination of two type of welds, which is a single transverse weld and a double parallel weld. Determine the length of the parallel fillet weld. We are supposed to calculate the length of the parallel fillet weld if the joint is subjected to static loading condition. Take sigma t is equals to 90 megapascal and tau is equals to 55 megapascal as the allowable stresses. They are not specified the material, but they have given the conditions with respect to that, where sigma t, the maximum allowable stress, is 90, the shear stress is 55 megapascal. Let us try to list down the data and then begin with our problem. So solution. Well, data, a plate of 80 millimeter wide. So they are specifying with respect to the width of the plate. We represent the width with respect to the letter B. So the width is equals to how much? It is 80 millimeter and 15 millimeter thick. The thickness is represented by the term H. So the thickness is H is equals to 15 millimeter, joined by another plate by a single transverse weld and a double parallel weld. It is joined by the single transverse weld and a double parallel weld. How it is going to look like? If I draw a rough sketch with respect to that, we have one of the plate, we have another plate. Here it's a combination of both the parallel weld as well as the transverse weld. Parallel weld as well as it's a combination of the transverse weld. Here is the axis subjected for the load P. So this length will be the length of the parallel weld that we are supposed to calculate, and this particular length will be the length of the normal weld. So here they are clearly specifying it's a single transverse, and a double parallel weld. So determine the length of the parallel fillet weld. We are supposed to calculate the length of the parallel fillet weld. If the joint is subjected to static loading, take sigma t is equals to 90 megapascal as well as the shear stress is equals to 55 megapascal. So we are supposed to calculate the length of the parallel weld. So we know that it's a combination of weld. So we are supposed to make use of the relation where the strength of the combined welding is given by P is equals to Pn, the load with respect to the normal weld plus the transverse weld, where we have the general expression with respect to the strength of the combined weld. So the strength of the combined weld is given by, in general, the strength of the combined weld condition. The strength of the combined weld is given by P is equals to Pn plus Pt, where P will be equal to 0.707 W into Ln, the length of the normal weld, plus sigma plus 0.707 W into Lp, let us call it as Lp into tau. So this is the general expression. Using this, we are supposed to calculate the value of LP. Let us look into the given data and see what are all we know already. We know the allowable stress of sigma and tau, and the rest data of P, W, Ln we are supposed to calculate. Have they given the load in the given problem? So they have not specified the load with respect to that. So what we can do, we can consider that the applied load will be equal to the strength of the plate itself. We have solved in the previous problem cases also. So applying the similar condition, since the applied load is not given or not specified, we can take that the applied tensile load will be equal to the strength of the plate itself, We know how to calculate the strength of the plate. So the applied tensile load is denoted by the term P. This P will be equal to width of the plate into thickness into the allowable stress of that particular plate. So we know that P will be equal to B into H into sigma T. Basically the stress will be equal to load divided by area. What I want is the load itself. So the load P will be equals to BH into sigma T. I know B, the width of the plate 80 millimeter. I know the thickness of the plate 15 millimeter, and I know the allowable stress in the given material, which is of 90 megapascal. Substituting all the values, I can calculate the applied tensile load. So the applied load, therefore the applied load P will be equal to, the B value is 80 millimeter, the H value is 15 millimeter, and sigma T value is 90. So if I multiply these three values, I am going to obtain the applied load, which is equals to 108 into 10 to the power of 3 Newton, or I can simply call it as 108 kilonewton. So this is the amount of applied load for the given condition. So we have calculated the value of P. The leg dimension or W will be always equal to the thickness of the plate. So the W will be equal to H. So the leg dimension will be equal to the thickness of the plate, where W is equal to H is equals to 15 millimeter. W is equals to H is equals to 15 millimeter. And if I look over here, the length of the normal weld will be equal to what? The width of the plate. This is the width of the plate, which is equal to the Ln. So the length of the normal weld, Ln is equal to the width of the plate, where Ln is equal to, the width of the plate is how much? 80 millimeter. So the Ln is equal to 80 millimeter. So in the equation that we are supposed to substitute for the strength of the weld, now I got the value of the leg dimension, that is W, as well as the length of the weld Ln. So the entire equation, the only unknown is the length of the parallel weld, that is LP. We can calculate that. Substitute all the values. So substituting all the values in the equation, we are going to obtain, we know P is equals to, what is P is equals to? 108 into 10 to the power of 3. 108 into 10 to the power of 3 is equal to 0.707 into the width of the plate, W is 15, the length of the normal weld will be equal to the width, that is 80, into sigma, that is allowable stress, that is given in the problem 90, 90 plus again we have 0.707 into W is 15 into the length of the parallel weld that we are supposed to calculate, LP into the tau value, that is allowable shear stress 55 megapascal. So if I solve this, I am going to obtain the length of the parallel weld. In the entire equation, the only unknown is the length of the parallel weld. Therefore, the effective length of parallel weld, LP is equals to, after rearranging and calculating the value of LP, we have obtained LP to be of 54.25 millimeter. This is just an effective length, it is not the total length. So in order to calculate the total length of the weld, we are supposed to consider the allowance that they have given for start and stop, both the condition. So the considering allowance for start and stop, the total length of the weld, the total length of parallel weld, L is equals to, the total length of the parallel weld, L is L plus phi I. Here let us represent only with respect to L. So where this phi is the allowance, I is the number of free ends, I is equals to number of free ends, where the number of free ends, here it is only 2. I am going to start over here and I am going to perform the operation in continuous and end over here. So I is start and stop, there is only 2, so I will be equal to 2. So if I substitute, I am going to get the total length of the parallel weld. So the total length of parallel weld, LP is equals to, the effective length is 54.25 plus the allowance that they have given is 5 into 2. So the total length of the weld, LP is equal to 64.25 millimeter. If I want to calculate for per weld, this is for the total, LP is for total. For each of the weld, how much it will be? Therefore, the effective length of each parallel weld, is equal to L divided by 2, that is 54.25 divided by 2, and it is 27.125 millimeter. So this is the effective length of each weld. Next, the total length of each parallel weld, by considering the allowance as well. The total length of each parallel weld is equals to LP divided by 2, where LP is 64.25 divided by 2. So this value will be equal to 32.125 millimeter. In the given problem, they asked us to calculate the length of the parallel fillet weld, where we calculated both the effective length as well as the total length of the weld. In particularly, each parallel weld length has also been calculated. So the given problem condition is satisfied. Now let us look into the conditions where the welded joints are subjected for the eccentric type of loading conditions. Until now we have seen the load is acting along the axis of the member, whereas what if it happens when the load is eccentrically loaded? There is a procedure that we are supposed to adopt in order to solve the conditions when the welded joints are subjected for the eccentric loading conditions. Now let us look into the condition where A welded joint, typically a combined welded joint, is subjected for an eccentric loading condition. Here you can see that the applied load is acting at a distance from the point of the center of gravity. It is not acting along the axis either in x or in the transverse direction. So it is acting at an eccentric distance, which is denoted by the term E. So we are looking into the conditions of eccentric loading under welded joints, where when a welded joint is subjected for an eccentric load as shown in the figure, the welds are subjected for direct shear and shear due to the twisting movement, just like as in the case of a normal loading condition or the static load conditions, where when the component is subjected for eccentric load, it is equal to the normal stress as well as the bending stress. It is a resultant of those two. Similarly, when the welded joint is subjected for an eccentric load, the welds are subjected to direct shear as well as the shear due to the twisting movement. So in this particular figure, we have seen that it's a combined weld where it is subjected for an eccentric load. Now let us look into the notations that we are using before going for the design procedure for the eccentric loading. The CG is the center of gravity. We are supposed to identify based on the given conditions in any problem the center of gravity, that is CG. So mx represents the distance of CG from the top of the weld. Similarly ny will represent us the distance of the CG from left. Ny represents the distance of CG from the left. E represents us the eccentricity. Here, from the loading to the point of center of gravity, we are going to see the eccentricity. There is a direct load per unit length of the weld, which is denoted by PD. The normal load or the load due to twisting moment per unit length of the weld is denoted by Pn. That is what we have represented here, the direct load as well as the normal load. These two will lead for the resultant load, that is denoted by PR. The resultant load per unit length of the weld is denoted by the term PR. Theta is the angle between Pn and PD. J represents as the polar moment of inertia. So whenever a welded joint is subjected for an eccentric loading condition, we are supposed to make use of the design procedure. It's a 6-step procedure where it's a very simple in order to design a welded joint which is subjected for this kind of loading conditions. So to begin with, in any of the problem, the first step is to identify the center of gravity. How to identify the center of gravity for the welded joint? In order to do that, we are supposed to refer our design data handbook. In that particularly, we should refer the table 6.7 under page number 76. So if we go for that particular table under the page number of 96, we are going to obtain the value of CG, that is the center of gravity. And then immediately we are supposed to calculate the value of mx and ny. The mx will represents the CG from the top of the weld. Similarly, ny represents the CG of the weld from the left end. The step 2, the first step is simple. Step 2 is find r, cos theta and E. We are supposed to calculate the values of the r, cos theta and the eccentricity. Looking into the figure here, we can see the r. That r can be calculated with the help of root of x square plus y square. Here we have x distance, here we have the y distance, basically the CG distance. Next we have the cos theta, that is given by x divided by r. So cos theta is equals to x divided by r, and eccentricity ratio, that is E, we are supposed to calculate. With the help of the calculations, we can note down the value of E as well. So the first step is to find the CG. The second step is to calculate the value of r, cos theta and E using these relations. Next, the step 3 is to determine the direct shear load per unit length of the weld, that is PD, using the relation applied load divided by the total length of the weld, that is PD is equals to P divided by L, where P represents as the applied load, L represents as the total length of this particular weld. So direct shear load you can per unit length of the weld, PD will be equals to P divided by L, that is our step 3. Similarly, step 4, the step 4 is to calculate the load due to twisting moment per unit length of the weld. There are two loads that are causing the eccentricity. One is the direct load that we have calculated, the other one is load due to the twisting moment, which is given by Pn is equals to P into E into R divided by J, where E is the eccentricity, R is the value that we have calculated, J is the polar moment of inertia. Again, in order to calculate the polar moment of inertia for the given type of weld, we are supposed to refer the data handbook. Under page number 96, we have the table of 6.7 where it gives us the value of J as well. The next step is to find out the resultant of these two, PD and Pn, which is given by PR. So the PR can be calculated using the relation root of Pn square plus Pd square plus 2Pd Pn into cos theta. In the step 3 and 4, we had already calculated the value of Pn Pd as well as the cos theta. Just substitute the value, we are going to get the resultant stress. Basically in the problem they are asked us to going to calculate the size of the weld. In order to calculate the size of the weld, we have the relation, the shear tau is given by the resultant force or load per unit length of the weld, 0.707 W into L. It is similarly as in the case of what we saw in the strength of the weld, where it was load P will be equal to 0.707 WL into tau, whereas here it is a resultant load. In order to calculate that resultant load, we are supposed to do the steps one by one. So after this, based on the parameter they asked us to calculate in the problem, we can conclude. So this is the 6-step procedure that we are supposed to adopt in order to design a welded joint that is subjected for the eccentric loading conditions. Now let us begin with the first problem with respect to the case of an eccentric loading. The first problem with respect to the eccentric loading is determine the size of the weld required for an eccentrically loaded weld. As shown in the figure, the allowable stress in the weld is 75 Newton per millimeter square, where they have given you the sketch with respect to the eccentric loading and we are supposed to note down the data with corresponding to the sketch. So basically there is an applied load of 25 kilonewton. This is not an eccentrically loaded distance. The E is from the center of gravity of the weld to the applied load point. Don't get confused with respect to that. They have specified that the load is at a distance of 25 kilonewton. So it is at a distance of 100 millimeter from the applied load of 25 kilonewton. Similarly, they have given the width as well as the 75 millimeter and the length of the weld, that is of 50 millimeter. So using this data, we are supposed to determine the size of the particular weld which is required. Basically W value we are supposed to calculate. So we will begin with our solution. So what are the given data? The given data is only the allowable shear stress, that is of 75 Newton per millimeter square. So for the eccentric loading conditions, we are supposed to go with the design procedure using stepwise. So the first step in the design procedure with respect to the welded joint is to find the CG value as well as MX and NY. So what we are supposed to do? The step 1 is to find the CG of the particular weld that they have given. So let us write only the welded portion. It's a single transverse and double parallel weld. So what we are supposed to do? We are supposed to refer for the table. Which is the table? So from table 6.7 under page number 96 in the design data handbook. If you refer to that particular page in the design data handbook, where the table 6.7 states the section modulus in bending and the polar moment of inertia in torsion for typically welded connections, where we are going to get the value of Z and J for the typical welded connections. Here it is a single transverse and double parallel weld. Look into that particular type of weld, and there we can note down the value of Mx as well as Ny. They have specified that N is from here to here of the weld, this total is N. Similarly, from here to here they are calling it as M. The CG is lying here, the CG, the point of CG is here, and from this particular point we know it is Ny, and this particular point is the Mx, it's the Mx. So how to identify the value of Mx and Ny? So the Mx will be equal to, the Mx will be equal to, the Mx will be equal to M divided by 2, since it is exactly at the center. We know the M value is 75, M value is 75 divided by 2, which gives us the value of 37.5 millimeter. Since it is exactly at the center, that is 75 divided by 2 will give us the value of 37.5. Whereas this Ny, it is not at the center, we are supposed to calculate, we have a relation in our data handbook. So the Ny is equal to, we have the relation n square divided by 2 of n plus m. Do we know n value? Yes, we know the n value. N value is equal to 50, as well as m value is equal to 75. So just substitute that value, we are going to obtain the value of Ny. Let us see what is the value. N square, n is 50, so 50 square divided by 2 times of n value is 50 and m value is 75. So the value of Ny after doing the calculation that we have obtained to be of 14.28 millimeters. So from the left end and from the top end we have obtained the value of a CG. The CG lies at a point of 37.5 millimeter from the top, and from left end it is 14.28. It is at 14.28. Next we are supposed to calculate the step 2, where we are supposed to calculate the value of R, cos theta as well as E. We are supposed to calculate those 3 values. So the step 2 is to find, R, cos theta and E, where R is given by root of x square plus y square, How is the sketch is looking like? Here we have the welded joint, here is my CG, this particular point is Ny, either from here or here it is my Mx. From here we have the value of R, the value of theta, and here this represents the value of X, and this represents the value of Y. So what is the value of X now? The total distance we know 50, out of which we know the Ny value also. So the remaining portion itself is the X value. So the X will be equal to 50 minus Ny. So the X value is 50 minus 14.28. So it will be equal to 35.72 millimeter. 30.72 millimeter. So this is the x value. Similarly, I can calculate the value of y. So the y will be equal to 75 divided by 2. Y will be equal to this much, center. So 37.5 millimeter. Now we got both the values of x and y. So let us substitute in the value of r. So therefore r is equal to root of x square is 35.72 square plus y square is 37.5 square. We are going to obtain the value of r to be of 51.78 millimeter. We got the value of r as well. Now the value of cos theta, the cos theta will be equal to x divided by r. Here only you can refer, this is the angle theta, this is the r. So if I define cos theta will be equal to the adjacent side, that is x, divided by the hypotenuse, that is r. So using that we have cos theta is equals to x divided by r. Do I know x? X I know 35.72 millimeter divided by the r, that is 51.78. So if I do the calculation with respect to this, I am going to obtain the value of cos theta, which is to be of the value 0.69. The last thing that we are supposed to calculate is the E in the second step. So the E will be equal to, now we can calculate the value of E. So here to here we know it is 100, here to here it is 100, plus the value of x will give us the value of the E. So E will be equal to 100 plus x, so it is 100 plus the value of x is 35.72 millimeter. So the value of eccentric is 135.72 millimeter. 135.72 millimeter. The step 2 was to identify the values of r, cos theta as well as E that we have calculated. The next step, that is step number 3, is to calculate the normal load. The step 3, Pn we are supposed to calculate. The step 3, the normal load is given by P divided by L. Do we know the applied load? Yes, we know the applied load. The applied load is 25 kilonewton. So 25 into 10 to the power of 3 divided by length of the weld, that is the total length of this particular weld. See here we have 50, we begin with the double parallel, and then we have the transverse of 75 plus 50. So it is 50 plus 75 plus 50. So the total length will be equal to 50 plus 75 plus 50. This is the total length of the weld. So basically 175 millimeter. So the Pn will be equal to 25 into 10 to the power of 3 divided by the direct load is denoted by PD, sorry. So PD will be equal to 25 into 10 to the power of 3 divided by 50 plus 75 plus 50, that is given by 142.8 Newton per millimeter. So after doing the calculation, we are going to obtain the value of PD, that is the direct load. PD will be equal to 142.8 Newton per millimeter. The next step is to calculate with respect to the Pn, that is the step 4. The Pn value has to be calculated. Again we know the relation in order to calculate the Pn value, which is given by P into E into R divided by J. Here P is the applied load, which is 25 into 10 to the power of 3. E is the eccentric 135.72 millimeter, whereas R is 51.78 millimeter. But the value of J, which is called as a polar moment of inertia, we are supposed to calculate with the help of the data handbook. So the value of J, that is the polar moment of inertia. The polar moment of inertia, we are supposed to look from the data handbook. So and from the table 6.7, page 96, page 96, the value of J, we have a separate column for that. So the value of J will be equal to HT of it's a big relation. So 2n plus m cube divided by 12 minus n square of n plus m square divided by 2n plus m. This value of J continuously varies for different conditions. So you are supposed to refer for the table in each and every cases, and we are supposed to note down the value of the J. So the HT value will be equal to 1. It is for a unity weld. So HT is equals to 1. Do we know n and m values? Yes, we know the values of n and m. Just substitute the values here. So it is 1 into 2 times of n. So the n, looking into the figure, it is 50 plus m value is 75 whole cube divided by 12 minus 50 square of n is again 50 plus m is 75 square divided by 2 times of 50 plus m value is 75. So after substituting all the values and calculating this particular equation, calculating the values in the equation, we are going to obtain the value of a J to be of value 223.4 into 10 to the power of 3 into 10 to the power of 3 millimeter to the power of 4. So once I got the value of J, now I can calculate the value of Pn, because I know P, I know E, I know R, and I know the J now. So substitute all the values and then calculate the value of Pn. Therefore Pn is equals to, the applied load is 25 into 10 to the power of 3 into the eccentricity value 135.72 millimeter. The eccentricity value is 135.72 millimeter into the radius. The radius value is 51.78 millimeter. The radius value is 51.78 millimeter divided by the value of a J, that is 223.4 into 10 to the power of 3. So if I do the calculation, I am going to obtain the value of Pn, which is 786.7 Newton per millimeter. After doing the calculation, the value of Pn that I have obtained is 786.7 Newton per millimeter. So the step 4 has been completed. The step 5 was to calculate the resultant load, that is PR, which becomes essential for us in order to calculate the length of the weld or the size of the weld. So the step 5, the resultant load. So the PR will be equal to square root of, it is PD square plus PN square plus 2 times of PD PN cos theta. Do I know all the relations? Yes, I know all the values. PD I know, PD value I know, that is 142.8 square plus PN value 786.7 square plus 2 times of this PDPN, that is 142.8, 786.7, cos theta is 0.69. Now if I calculate the resultant load PR using these values that we have substituted, we are going to obtain the value of PR to be of 889.69 Newton per millimeter. So we have calculated the value of PD, PN as well as the resultant load. The final step is to calculate the size of the weld. Whereas here we are supposed to calculate the size of the weld. Step 6 is to calculate the size of the weld. we know that allowable shear stress or the step-6 procedure is tau is equals to PR divided by 0.707 W by L. So tau is equal to the load divided by 0.707 W into L. So we know all the values there. We know the tau value, that is the allowable shear stress value. They have given the problem 75 Newton per millimeter square. The load is 889.69 Newton per millimeter into 0.707. W is unknown. Here L is equals to 1 because all the relations of Pn, Pd, Pr is per unit length. It is for per unit length. Hence the value of L will be equal to 1. So after substituting, we know all the values except the value of the size of the weld. Therefore the size of the weld, W will be equal to the value of 16.8. If I do the calculation, I am going to obtain the value to be of 16.12, which can be approximated for 17 millimeter. So this is the amount of size of the weld that is required for the given eccentric loading conditions. So this is the procedural method that we are supposed to adopt in any of the given problem. For example, they may not give the combination of the parallel welds. They might give only the single parallel, single transverse weld, or they might give you the double transverse weld. They might also give the double parallel weld. So depending upon the type of the welded joint that they have given, we are supposed to refer for the table and then look into the relations with respect to Mx and Y and then continue with the same procedure. So thank you.